All right, perfect. So, I'm going to go ahead and open it up to questions. So, who has questions for Alex?
I have one.
Yeah, go ahead, Ash.
Um, Alex, you're talking about how, from what you're saying, it sounds like you're a very confident guy, and that's one of the keys to your success in college. And then perhaps when you got out on the mini tours, you were thinking a lot about consequences and making it by week.
Mm-hmm.
How did you deal with, I guess, maybe focusing too much on consequences and it could apply to individual shot, like if you were uncomfortable with a shot or you were maybe not as confident with the ball flight or how the shot's set up for you, how would you deal with that?
Yeah, good question, man. I think my mindset changed a lot from college to professional golf, in the sense that I was more concerned with the outcome of the entire round rather than one individual shot. So if I could change another thing, I think it would be focusing on the individual shot. I don't think people, I think it seems like something so easy to focus on the individual shot, but it's really something that's quite difficult, I would say. It's so hard to channel all your energy towards one shot without having to think about the consequences of what could happen if you miss the cut, or what happens if you miss the green. That's huge, right? In professional golf, in college golf, it's just like my teammate will pick it up or something will happen, right? So I definitely did not stress that enough in my professional career. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Yep.
And I guess kind of a follow up, you talked about like how there was one round where you had no idea where the ball was going, and you shot 64 the next day.
Yep.
I guess when you don't feel completely confident in your swing, and it's a tough course, it's really penal around the greens and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How do you still stay focused on the target and not worry so much about, I guess, how do you trust your swing that even when your swing's not on, you're going to get it to the right side of the hole where you could score from?
Yeah, so that's tough,
let go
man.
when you're...
Yeah, so that's tough, right? Because you have to have enough trust in yourself and enough faith in yourself that you're going to pull off the shot that you want to hit at your target. Now, with that being said, it also takes a lot of mental work with guys like Paul to be able to trust yourself when you're not playing your best. And I think that's something that is the most important thing. If you look at any guy that's in the top 50 on the PGA Tour, you'll see that when they're not playing their best, it's still pretty damn good,
Right.
And so, even though you're you're swinging it bad and you might hit it all over the place in the practice round, you might get up to the first tee and you're still so mentally strong that you think that you're going to hit the ball in the right half of the fairway every single time, 100%. Every single time. So I think that's where you have to be able to be strong enough in the mind to be able to get up to that tee shot, erase everything that you thought about in a practice round, erase everything that you ever saw yourself hit in a practice round, and just go from there. Being able to be confident and swing confident is the most important thing. It doesn't matter if you're hitting a 50-yard hook or a 2-yard slice. Like, you have to be confident to be able to own that shot and hit that shot.
Great. Thank you.
Yep.
I have a question. So how did you practice in college, and did you practice a lot, like mental skills, and how do you think that like separated you from other players?
So Paul might laugh at this. My mental practice in college was kind of completely checking out of golf. What I mean by that is that once I left the golf course, I didn't want to ever think about golf again until I went to the golf course the next day. So sometimes that meant, actually, let me take a step back. So when I enrolled as a freshman, I actually asked to have a tennis player roommate. And then I actually didn't have a golf roommate until my senior year. And the only reason I chose that guy as my roommate my senior year was because I knew he wasn't going to make the lineup. And we were good friends, but I knew he wasn't going to make the lineup. And so it was something that it wasn't that he wasn't going to make the lineup, but it was somebody that I knew that I could help either get him into the lineup, but knew that he wasn't going to jeopardize my spot in it. And so the reason I say that is because mentally I wanted to be able to completely check out of golf, and I didn't want to think about it at all. I wanted to make sure that when I left the golf course, I left everything behind me. And so that when I came back the next day, it felt like a kid again at Christmas, where I wanted to just practice as hard as I can. Now, I think the first part of your question was practicing. I think where maybe my dad taught me how to play golf, and so I learned a lot how to practice short game and hitting and long game and then playing. But in college, it was much more specific in the sense that, Monday and Wednesday was at the driving range, and then Tuesday, Thursday was playing, and then Friday was wedge work. So that was where it was completely different, right? I had a very regiment schedule as to what I was doing and where I was supposed to be. So I had no control of it. All I had to do was show up and bring whatever clubs I needed, and we got on with it. So, having a detailed schedule, whether you make it, whether your dad makes it, whether your mom makes it, whether your sister or brother make it, doesn't matter. Like, you need to have a schedule where you know that you're waking up in the morning and you're going to make 100 3-footers in a row, and then you're going to do 30-foot lag putts, or you're going to wake up and you're going to try and play against your buddies and you're going to try and take all their money on that given day. You need to know what you're getting up and going after.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Other questions, guys?
Yeah, I have a question. I found it really interesting when you're explaining how you would just like check out of golf as your mental practice. And I think that's something I've obviously never thought of. But golf is like something that's kind of always going through my mind, just because like I just like it so much, and I just think about certain stuff about it all the time. But is that do you necessarily think there's a right or a wrong way to like practice your mental game like that, or is that just the way you think it was just most beneficial to you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's two trains of thought on that, right? Like, I grew up as a tennis player. Tennis and other sports were my first sport. So golf wasn't something that I was as passionate about at a young age. And so I never thought of myself as a golf nerd. Now, I will say that since I graduated college and left professional golf, all I think about is golf. All I think about is golf in the sense that, like, I just want to play. Like, this is driving me nuts right now. But I've also played some of the best golf of my professional career, and I've actually made more money on the golf course as a financial advisor than I have made as a professional golfer in my professional career as a golfer. And I think a lot of that is related to the fact that, for me, it works best when I go to the golf course and I play golf, and then I get done with golf and I'm done with golf. Now, there are so many of my friends who just absolutely love golf and are students of the game, where they just want to be learning about it all the time. To that point, I don't know how to work on my mental game if that's the way you operate. But I wouldn't say that I'm right and you're wrong. I would say that we're both different people. So it's definitely something that you can work on, but you have to be able to find something that is an out, and something that, maybe Paul can help you with, visualize or remove yourself from golf as far as you can, even though you still love it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Man, you're taking my job, Alex. Come on.
I mean, at least I'll buy a Zoom meeting and we can talk for an hour and a half.
Come on, really? Dirty. Any other questions,
Kidding,
guys?
Paul.
I have a question. So one thing that Paul talked about a lot was how you were able to come back from some really bad starts. Is the mental mindset just not changing the way that you think, keeping on going, or is your mindset more, I guess, directly related to like your bad round? Like, okay, like I'm 3 over, like let's just continually grind out to get back to even par, or is it just keep the same mindset, what I shoot till I shoot?
So I think it's a couple things, because there's so many guys that will go out there and get 2 or 3 over in the first 6 holes and they'll shoot 80. Those are the guys that I know that I will always have a mental edge over them. For the guys that you have to change your mindset, I think I would say, and Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it would be bad to be 3 over and correct your mindset to be like, oh my God, what is going on? I got to make birdies and try and like dig yourself out of a hole. You still want to go in with the plan that you had, right? So a lot of guys on tour do this where they look at the yardage book and before they even tee off, they know exactly what shots they're going to hit. And they also know exactly what pins they're going to go after. And so if they get to number 14 and, they are maybe 2 over par and they want to get to 2 under, and the pin is tucked, behind a bunker with water left, they're still going to hit for the right side of the green. They're not going to try and force themselves to the left side of the green. And I think that's something that I really found that changed my mindset, because, you go out there and you're trying to qualify, you do Monday qualifiers and you're trying to press the gas as hard as you can. And once you get to 1 over, you're like, shit, man, I got to get to 6 under by the end of this round. Like, I got to start firing at pins. And then all of a sudden you shoot 80 and you're like, what happened? So I think you still have to go in with the same plan and know that no matter what, you're going to be the best guy out there and you're going to beat everybody with the game plan that you have, because having a game plan and sticking to it is a pretty hard thing to do. But if you're able to do it, you'll definitely succeed and you beat your friends that are not sticking to their game plan.
All right, thank you.
Awesome.
So, I got a quick question, or just kind of like a general statement. Would you say that just like the structure in general, well, specifically for you, would have kind of helped you out moving to the next level? But then also too, just like right now at this point in time, just adding more structure to your process will help you through anything, really.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think you nailed it. What's that?
Versus just kind of floating around and just waking up in the morning and being like, oh, okay, what am I going to do today? Oh, I'll hit wedges. No. The night before, I decided that I'm putting, and then I'm working on wedges, and then I'm, you have that down every single day. That structure just keeps you on track.
Absolutely. Yep. You couldn't have said it better.
All right.
Beautiful.
That's good.
So, when did you start planning this? Like, would you take it day by day, week by week, or like, how did that work? Was there a specific process, or it was just like kind of a day by day thing?
In college or professional? After
College.
In college, everything was planned for me. It was to the point where I actually just showed up at San Diego and I had a dorm and I didn't even have a car my freshman year. I basically just waited for somebody to come pick me up and I would go to the golf course. So I will say that for my team and having people around me help me with those, and then also push me to reach certain goals on the practice fields, that was huge for me. I remember complaining, like I said, I'm not a good putter. That's just not who I am. So, left to right putts. And if there was a time where I had to make 100 left to right 3-footers, I knew I was going to be there for a long time. I would typically be the last guy to finish any putting drill. and I would be the last guy to go to the driving range, and which was not a good thing to do. But you know, I made sure that I would accomplish it, and then I would move on and go to the next thing. So even though I was playing number one on the team, like there were still so many weaknesses in my game, but I had a good team around me to push me to accomplish the goals that I needed to, and really highlight the weaknesses that I had.
Excellent. Well, Alex, thank you so much. I from the bottom of my heart, I thank you so much for coming in, giving some
Yep.
background, answering some questions. You know, enjoy Hawaii, stay safe. I mean, that's the most important thing, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Sounds good, guys. Good luck,
Thank you.
everybody, and take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so for everybody else here, what questions do you have for me? What can I maybe answer? Leo's got questions.
Ah,
I guess Alex was talking a little bit about the idea of bouncing back after a bad start. But one thing, like personally for me, I tend to be pretty good at that. It's more getting off to a good start is my issue. I kind of relax once I get to a bad start and free up, but it's a matter for me going to the first tee, I guess focused, confident, and already like relaxed, like swing freely. So I don't know if there's like any specific routine, I guess, that you could implement like right before you tee off. I know we've talked about like breaths on the first tee, but maybe even prior to that to kind of focus yourself.
Yeah, so what's interesting is if you ask most people what is like the most important thing for you to feel confident on the first tee, they'll usually go, I just want to feel good, right? I want to feel relaxed. I want to feel comfortable. I want to feel free. But if you look at the science behind it or the research behind it, from an actual confidence perspective, that's the least impactful. It's not that it's not impactful. It's just it's the least impactful. Realistically, the most impactful thing that's going to influence your confidence or should influence your confidence is past performance success. So for me, when I'm trying to work with somebody and get them to get off to good starts, the first thing I want to have them do is one, be confident, right? Because if you're confident and you're focused, that's going to allow you to be a little bit, better at getting off to those good starts. So it's honestly remembering the times that you've gotten off to good starts. It's remembering the good opening tee shots that you've hit, right? We've all been on the first tee where we felt nervous, we felt uncomfortable, we felt tense, and we still pump it right down the middle, right? So yes, it'd be nice to get to the first tee and feel calm and cool and collected every single time, but the reality is that's probably not going to happen more often than not. So going in and trying to remember what you've done previously that allows you to be successful will reinforce that success, right? And so you'll be able to go to the first tee, know, hey, you know what, I'm not going to feel comfortable or I'm not going to feel great right now, but I know I can still hit a good one. I remember a week ago, I did the same thing. I split the fairway right down the middle. And so using those past successes to further your success will go a long way. Kind of the idea of like a positive shot library where you can kind of pull it out, draw on it when needed and when necessary.
Right.
What did you think was, I guess, Alex's like biggest strength when it came to mental stuff? And do you think like his background in Hawaii, where there wasn't a lot of good golf, helped him because he like already knew how to win and stuff like that? Yeah,
I think that what allowed him to be incredibly successful was, like he said, he just was really able to let it go, right? So if he doubled the first hole, he would get pissed. And for him, it was, I'm not pissed and I'm going to spiral. I'm pissed and I'm going to take it as sort of like a personal challenge to get it back. But he also understood that in order to do that, I really have to do it shot by shot, right? I can't get 2 or 3 shots back in one shot. And so really being able to compartmentalize the importance of this shot, because from a momentum perspective, if I can hit one good shot, I've started that momentum train, right? So then I can hit another one. And, that gets rolling pretty quickly. And I think where people sometimes struggle, especially when they make a big number, is they feel like now they have to make it all up in one. And that's usually what leads to them making poor decisions. It's what leads to them, trying to do too much, right? I thought it was great. He talked about, on a Monday qualifier, a tour player, they get to the 14th hole and they're, 1 or 2 over. And it's like, man, I got to be 1 or 2 under here. Realistically, they're still playing to their strategy, right? Like there are certain holes that you can be aggressive with. There are certain holes that you can't be. More often than not, it's not guys going out and just firing at pins every single time, because if you miss it, you're just exacerbating the problem. And so that was always my biggest takeaway from him. He was like the most competitive person I've ever come across, where he would make those mistakes and he would just find a way to like mentally will it away. I think honestly what changed when he turned professional, he cared about the outcome, right? He said it himself that when he turned professional, it became about money. He had to prove himself to himself that he belonged out there. And so for him, when you make that change, it's no longer about I'm competitive and I'm trying to hit this shot as good as I can, or I believe I'm as good as everybody else. It's I've just made this putt the difference between if I can eat or not, like theoretically. And that's a very stressful situation to put yourself into and really hard to perform that way. So I'm sure there's something to be said for his upbringing in Hawaii, but I don't know that it's – I would say the tennis playing and the competitive back and forth piece would explain that as much as anything else.
Another question, like he mentioned how like on the tour there's a ton of golfers who you have people like him who are all Americans doing well from the start, and then there's more late bloomers who are might not be playing on scholarship and then just grow and really work hard. I guess how do you, like, sometimes it can be frustrating not to continue on a trajectory like improving like this much in this amount of time. How do you, like, what do you think is maybe a key to someone improving so drastically? And I know it's over a long period of time and everyone's a little different, but like, what do you think as far as mindset goes, maybe the people who those people don't have as much expectations and they're not really thinking about their results and stuff?
Yeah, so I'd attribute it to a couple different things. So the first one would be they are not comparing themselves to other people, right? So their comparison is simply themselves. So they're constantly trying to get better every single day. Where we get into trouble is we're looking to somebody else. Oh, well, Tiger did this at this point. John Rahm did this at that point. This is how many tournaments he won. This is how many tournaments they won, blah, blah, blah. And the fact is everybody is on a different path, a different trajectory, doing different things, right? It's the equivalent of me going into the gym and saying, well, like, my brother can lift 225. Why can't I? Right? Like, it's not a fair comparison. Like, you may be in a different situation. You might be doing different things. So, understanding really it's about not comparing yourself against others. And honestly, I'm a firm believer in compounding. If you can get a little bit better every single day, whether it's mental, physical, hell, strategy, like just organization, whatever it might be, all of that starts to add up. So yeah, after a year, you might say, if we use a money analogy, you might have gone from $100 to $110. But after 5 years, that $110 is now $600, right? So early on, you're not going to see as much growth and trajectory, but over time, that's where you start to see the much more significant growth. And so the other piece is you never will really know what your final outcome is until it's all done. right? We can only look back at the end and say, well, this is how good I was able to be. We want to know the answer now, but we're never going to know the answer now. So you have to kind of put your nose to the grindstone and say, all right, I'm going to work as hard as I possibly can every single day, try and improve as much as I possibly can every single day. And at some point, I'm going to say, am I good enough or am I not good enough? You know, Alex at some point said, you know what, this is not worth my time. This is not worth my investment anymore. Could he have still been successful? Probably. I truly believe he has enough talent to be out there, but he doesn't want to do it anymore, right? And so that's where it then comes back on us to say, well, how much time and effort and money am I willing to put into this? So, you know, those players who are D3 guys, they're able to try and keep getting better every single day. And if they keep getting better, they may make it out there. They might not, right? There are plenty of guys who don't. So don't feel like you have to compare your trajectory and your story to somebody else. Make your own story. Other questions?
Yeah, I actually have a question.
Yeah.
So I know during the coronavirus times, we're not going to be playing tournaments in a while, and we're probably not going to have people to be competitive with and practice with. So my question is, what do you think are the ways that we can be better mentally during these times? Like, how can we improve ourselves mentally?
Well, I mean, so that's somewhat difficult because I would have to know sort of what theoretically a weakness would be, right? Because if, hey, these are the areas that I struggle with mentally, so maybe it's confidence, maybe it's, you know, poor decision making, just off the top of my head, I would say focus on those things. Now, if it's just general stuff that I think is valuable to everybody, attitude, confidence. Attitude, I think you have a choice in how to look at things, right? You can choose to look at every situation and say, yeah, this sucks. I think everybody feels that way right now. You know, I can't go play golf. If I can, like down here where I live, I'm going to have to wear a face mask. That's not exactly ideal. But I also have a choice to look at that and say, at least I'll be able to get out. I'll be able to practice. I'll be able to do something. So kind of control your controllables, right? You choose what side of that attitude path you want to be on. From a confidence perspective, there are 4 things that influence confidence. And they go from most important, which is past performance success. Then it's vicarious experience. So basically modeling, looking at others like yourself and seeing the improvement they make. Self-talk, so from yourself and those around you. And then physiologic, right? So for you, every single day, you can be working on things to reinforce your confidence. You can be doing things that make you more and more confident. So when that day comes that you get to get back on the golf course, you're going to know I'm as good as anybody else out there. There's no doubt in my mind. There's no question in my mind. I think those 2 things right off the top would go a long way to helping pretty much anybody. Anything?
I have another question about Alex. Like, what did you guys work on? Like, was he already pretty mentally set in, or did you guys have set things you worked on in college?
So you want to know what the funniest thing is? I never worked with him individually. So he was – I worked with the team his last 2 years, so when he was a junior and a senior. And obviously we worked on a lot of different things. I mean, we've done sort of, you know, relaxation stuff. We've done goal setting. We've done, you know, self-talk, attitude type stuff. But again, he was one of those players where it's like, I don't want to fuck with him because he knows what he's doing, right? And I would use him as an example for other players to say, you don't need to be so hard on yourself, right? If you make a mistake, that's okay, right? Find a way to bounce back, find a way to rebound, find a way to let it go. And I would use him as sort of an example. Now, when he turned professional, I saw the struggles he had out there. I was like itching. I'm like, dude, let me work with you. I can help you. I guarantee it. I'll find a way to like get you through this. And it never worked out for a number of reasons because he went away from what he was doing that brought him success. And so just even getting him back to something like, hey, the end result, I get it. Money matters. You can't play for a paycheck. You have to play to go out and hit this shot to the best of your ability. You have to play to go out and try and win this event. So little things like that. Did we all find his sort of story interesting, helpful? I would hope.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
cool.
extremely.
100%.
Awesome. I figured that would be the case. We're gonna keep doing this. We're gonna keep doing this weekly. I don't know who we'll bring in. Down the road, I might ask some Olympians to come in or something like that. So we'll see what we can do. But if you guys are done, thank you guys for showing up. For the new faces, thank you for showing up. What I would ask of you is I'm going to go ahead in the chat. I'm going to put my contact information, so my email and telephone number. Go ahead, just shoot me over your contact information. That way I have it. That way I can send you out links to make sure that you guys know what's coming up next week and things like that. And obviously, if you guys need any help, assistance, guidance, please reach out. So thank you guys. Stay safe. And if you need anything, let me know. All right?
Got it.
Awesome. Thank you so
Thanks,
much for your
Paul.
time.
Thanks so much.
Definitely.
Take care.
See you guys.